Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to check out the new update that's going to happen tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, tomorrow is Wednesday. So tomorrow's update, which will happen, which is for Mephisto and Hellstorm, I think his name was, I forgot. But regardless, yes, Hellstorm. So this is the first event. This is an update celebration event, which is for a growth event for both Hellstorm and Mephisto. So as you can see, all uniforms will be 40% discounts, including themselves, except the seasonals, obviously. There will be growth missions for if you reach them to tier 4 max uniform rankings, etc., etc. There will be also a ranked battle for Hellstorm, and you're going to get crystals instead of tier 4 materials because he's a new tier 4. Although Mephisto is also a new tier 4, so I do not know if he's the one who's going to be just for crystals. I do not know if Mephisto will be at another time, but it seems like that he might be in another time. There's also a new battle pass, the Team Up Collection battle pass. As you can see, we've got the normal rewards and the upgrade rewards. The upgrade rewards alongside the already normal ones, you're going to get some tier 2 materials maxed out at rank 4, rank 3, rank 5, and you get some Phoenix feathers, some uniform XP, and instead of the usual 20, 30, 50, you get 50, 75 on collection tokens. There'll be an energy bonus event, which is just basically spending energy. A 7-day check-in for you to get some rewards. There'll be, this is just going to be a surprise gift that will be just handed out, 250 of each. You can, now World Boss Legends higher stages are now at a discount, 50% off. So I'll be using this hopefully a lot of times, as much as I can, because it's, I think it's for 2 weeks. Yeah, something like that. It's for 2 weeks, around 2 weeks. So this is also very good. There'll be a artifact unequipped 50% discount, the artifact chance up event as well, a rank tournament. I'm guessing this is the new one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, seems to be the new one, which starts at after 5 days and then lasts for almost a month. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this event. And now on to the main update, which is the patch notes. So we're going to go ahead and check them out, see what's going on, and we should see and hopefully guess correctly what mode they're going to be for. So again, Mephisto and Hellstorm both get a tier 4 and new uniforms. So we're going to go ahead and check out the 2 new uniforms. So the update is going to be tomorrow, or I guess today for some for the people who are on the other side. But regardless, it's going to be a no maintenance update, so you're just going to hop in and you're going to just need to do a simple update. We're going to check out the 2 new uniforms, which is Mephisto's Master of Hell and Hellstorm's TA uniform. Now, they're both at a discount, and the face of the update is obviously going to be Mephisto. So the this one is coupon acquisition. I'm not sure what this one is. This one is for if you're going to buy something from their web shop, you're going to get a 10% discount on top of the already 10% discount that they already have, so 20%, which is really good. So we've got Mephisto. Since he's a native tier 3, his uniform is going to cost a lot. As you can see, 3,250 base, but 1,150 at a discount. If you want to wait until Black Friday, which is on November, then you can get him for 1,625. So they changed this typing from Blast to Universal, which is good in some aspects. They unfortunately kept the other typing, but at the same time, I do not know what other typing they could give him. He has the Hellfire, Magic, and Evil tags. And now we're going to go on to his skills. For the uniform effect, it applies to himself, just increasing chain hit damage and increases additional pierce, so he gets a native pierce as well, just like the other native tier 3s, and super armor, increasing all basic defense. Onto his leadership, Lord of Hell, it applies to supervillain allies, increases flame damage by 30%. That's for his leadership. And then he has another activation rate, which is when debuffed, which only applies to supervillain allies, which removes all debuffs for 12 seconds. So his leadership seems to be for PvP, but we're going to move on to his skills to see if he's going to be PvP or PvE or a hybrid. So his tier 2 passive, it is both applies to himself, which increases skill damage by 40%, and then this one decreases received from reflex by 70%, which is really good. If he's meta in PvP, then you can pair him with America Chavez or the new Black Knight, and then you can go ahead and just have a complete 100% reflect damage. So you're going to have no reflect received at all. And then he decreases basic damage received by 40%. With himself, I think, reflects all attack, if I understand this correctly, which is also very good. Onto the 5 skills. The first one, which is the Hell Lord Punch, applies to enemies, snare, silence, incapacitation, and paralysis. And then flame damage 90% of energy attack. When the skill Hellfire is used, it will be also applied to enemy, which is snare, silence, paralysis. So basically the same as the first skill. The second skill, which is Burn and Stun, applies to enemies, and then to himself, which increases the basic damage dealt to villains by 30%, and the effect cannot be removed, which is really good for 600 seconds. This other one is also when the Hellfire is used. It gives Burn and Stun, again the same one, and then it gives him another increased basic damage dealt to superheroes by 30%. So you basically have increase to both villains and heroes, except this one is on Hellfire, so for heroes it's on Hellfire, but this one is already ready for the skill. The third skill, Storm of Hell, it applies to enemies, Burn, Fracture, and when the second skill is also applied, again, it does Burn and Fracture, and then increases all basic attacks and defenses by 50%, speed by 1%, and critical rate by 40%, while removing incapacitation. His fourth skill, which I feel like this is a mistake in translation, because abandon all hope, ye who enters here. This kind of sounds quite funny, so I'm hoping that this is only just for translation issues. But his fourth has an iframe ignore, so he could be PvP. Removes active diva from target, mind control, paralysis, decreases all basic defense by 5%. And to himself, it is a 70% chance to penetrate. So he has penetration, but not guaranteed penetration. Is really, really bad for a PvP character if you were hoping for it to be PvP. Accumulation, pure damage up to 50%, recovers 5% of HP every 1 second, recovers amount of increase by 4% per 1% total of damage received, and recovery amount cannot exceed 100% of max HP. When his second skill is used, this is a VPAD skill. It applies to enemies, paralysis, and decreases all basic defense by 5%, and then he recovers 30% while becoming invincible for 5 seconds. So because of this penetration, I do not have hope for him being meta in PvP. At best, he could be niche, maybe top 10, top 15. But that's, again, at what I think. His final one, which is Price of the Contract, which applies to enemies, burn, shock, fear, incapacitation, and decreases flame resistance by 8%. The other one applies to himself, which increases all basic attacks and defenses by 30%, speed by 1%, crit rate by 30%, while removing incapacitation, 100% chance to grant all damage immunity. When his second skill is used, he gives to his enemies burn, shock, and decreases flame resist by 10%. So this time it doesn't give him fear and incapacitation, instead it doesn't give it to him. And then he gets a 100% chance to grant all damage immunity, accumulates 10% of pure damage while attacking, and 0.8 increase of all basic attacks, each 1% of pure damage accumulation. So that is for Mephisto. For Mephisto, I feel like he's going to be a hybrid. However, he's going to be more of PvE oriented. So he's going to be the complete opposite of Null. With Null, who's a hybrid, but is a PvP oriented. However, for Mephisto, I feel like it's just going to be a PvE oriented hybrid. So you can use him in PvP, but I don't see him being that great in PvP. Again, we have to wait because I'm not sure on how good he's going to be. Could he be good for Alliance, Battle, Extreme, and Legends? Hopefully, because when he also did come out, if I'm not wrong, he was Alliance, Battle, Extreme, and Legend meta. So we are not going to rule out him potentially being there. And the problem with his other typing is if you're going to use him for World Boss Legends, he doesn't have any stages where he can use his other typing. So yeah, overall we have to wait and see how he is going to perform for PvE and PvP. But in my case, I'm going to guess that he's going to be a hybrid PvE oriented. So that is for Mephisto, and now we are going to go to Hellstorm TVA. Now, for Hellstorm, he's a universal superhero and human and male. I'm not sure on what his old typing is, so bear with me on this one. But he has his uniform, since he's a native tier 1, he's going to cost 1,750, discounted to 1,050. If you wait for Black, it's going to be 875. His uniform effect applies to himself, which just change it increase and ignores target's dodge rate by 40%. His tier 2 passive, and passive has been changed, his leadership stays. Tier 2 passive applies to himself, increasing skill damage by 30%, increases bonus damage by 25%, decreases damage received by 20%. His passive applies to himself, 80% chance to become immune to flame damage, and increases flame damage by 50%. His first skill is Trident Stamp, which applies to enemies, just burn. Second skill is also Burn, Judgment of Sins, to enemies. His third, which is Serpent of Sins, applies to enemy, burn, snare, decreases all resist by 10% and all basic defense by 10%. And then applies to himself that he grants all damage immunity 100% and increases all basic attacks by 40%. His fourth skill, which does not have iframe ignore, so he's not going to be PvP, is applies to enemies, burn, stun, incapacitation, and then applies to himself, recovers 30% of HP, accumulates 10% of pure damage when attacking, and 1% increase of all basic attacks, each 1% of pure damage accumulated. His skill, Hellstorm Dash, which applies to enemies, removes active buff from target, and Fracture applies to himself, which becomes invincible, increases all basic attacks and defenses by 50%, speed by 6%, and crit rate by 45% while removing incapacitation. Now, for Hellstorm, I don't think many people are going to focus that much on him, but if I were to give it a guess, he's probably going to be a niche PvE. Because he doesn't have, his fourth skill does not have iframe, so he's already not going to be great. And he does not have penetration, so that's also another factor to consider for PvP. So now onto their tier 4 striker skills. For Mephisto, it applies to himself, 50% increase of max HP for 10 seconds, energy attack increases by 25% every 1 second, up to 100% for 10 seconds. So after 4 seconds, you're going to get your 100%. And for Hellstorm's tier 4, it is going to be accumulation of 10% for pure mind, poison, lightning, chill, flame when attacking, and increases mind, poison, lightning, chill, flame damage by 6% per 10% accumulated elemental damage. We have a new artifact for Mephisto, and he doesn't. This one does not have revive or immortality, because I think he has native revive, if I'm not mistaken. Increases damage of all elements 20% and an additional 0.5 of total instinct up to 200%. Master of Light for Mephisto. So yeah, that is pretty much all for the patch notes, and then they obviously did some improvements for Dr. Voodoo. They changed the names of the skill for a specific language, fixed an issue where the second and third hero equipment image Knight were displayed incorrectly. The legendary battle Infinity War has fixed an issue when the final battle stage was using the skill too quickly, which then caused you to die pretty quick because of Thanos' cinematic attack. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's as much as I can show you until we wait and see how he will be. Will I cover him? No, because I do not have him built, and it will take me like probably a month, if not more than that, for me to even be able to test them. So just wait for other reliable sources to go ahead and test it for you. Commander, you've got Marine Velvet for PvP, and so on and so forth. So yeah, generally speaking, Mephisto is going to be hybrid PvE, and Hellstorm is going to be PvE, niche PvE. So yeah, my guessing for these two characters. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I know that a lot of you have been waiting for this update, so expect some new things, and hopefully they could be meta. Now, Mephisto has a chance to replace some characters in Alliance Battle Extreme and Legends, given that he has a lot of hits. So if he does, then by all means we should expect him to be very good for Alliance Battle Extreme and Legend. We're obviously going to need to hope that he's also a rare character or an energy character, given that he is a PvE. Because that's just my guessing that I'm saying that he's going to be a hybrid PvE. But regardless, though. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and see you all in the very next video, and now we shall wait for the update that's going to come out tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed it, please let me know, subscribe, and like, and comment down below how excited you are for this update. So yeah, guys, I'm going to see you all in the very next video. Goodbye.